Question number 16 on the writing and language portion of College Board's Test 5. The writer is considering deleting the underlined sentence. Should the sentence be kept or deleted? So the sentence that they're referring to is, Tweed had been elected to a single 2-year term in Congress in 1852. So let's read just for context. Boss Tweed's Tammany Hall Group, which controlled New York City in the 1860s, stole more than $30 million, the equivalent of more than $365 million today. Tweed had been elected to a single 2-year term in Congress in 1852. Tammany Hall was so powerful and corrupt that the New York Times commented. Okay, I can understand why this maybe talks and heightens his sense of importance, that he was elected to Congress. That's how big he was. However, I feel like this is interrupting the flow of the piece. That we're trying to talk about, the fact that Tammany Hall held a tight grip on New York City. And then all of a sudden we're saying, oh yeah, he was also in Congress. And then we go back to talking about he was so powerful that there is absolutely nothing to sit in the city, which is beyond the reach of this insatiable gang. That we're referring back to the gang and again his influence within New York City. So again, we don't answer these questions. I don't like to answer these questions. Just say yes or no. The reason behind it's going to be important. But I'm not liking where this is heading because it seems pretty random, even though it may be consistent with his overall power profile that we learn about in the power graph. The writer is considering deleting the underlined sentence. Should the sentence be kept or deleted? Kept, because it introduces the quote from the New York Times in the next sentence. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't introduce it in any way. It's just saying that he served in Congress. The quote has nothing to do with him serving in Congress. It has him serving as kind of the ringleader of New York City. So I don't understand how we should keep it because it introduces the New York Times quote, because it doesn't. What about B? Kept, because it adds a vital detail about Tweed that is necessary to understand his power. This is a good bad answer. I bet a lot of you guys pick this because you're saying, well, if you're elected to Congress, clearly you are very powerful. But the thing that I have to be critical about, does it add a vital detail? Vital means crucial to understanding someone's power, or in this case. So vital, crucial. It is necessary in order to understand the whole scope of this man. And again, furthermore, is this vital in order to understand his power? That without this piece of information, we no longer know his power. I think that's where this leads us astray. If we have to accept B as being correct, we have to accept all the things that go along with it. And that means facing yourself and realizing, like, okay, if I don't know this one sentence, do I now no longer know that Tweed was powerful? No, we know about him being powerful throughout this entire passage in the city. So I don't like the fact it's necessary to understand his power, because it's not necessary to understand his power. Because if we didn't know that he was a member of Congress, we would still know that he was corrupt and influential and very powerful. So B, I understand why you would pick it, but that's not the right reasoning, because then we have to swallow and agree, is this a vital detail to his power? I'm like, no, it's not. What about C? Deleted. Because it blurs the focus of the paragraph by introducing loosely related information. I like this. It is loosely related. It does talk about his power. It does talk about Boss Tweed. However, this has nothing to do with his corruption. It doesn't say that he was corrupt in Congress. It doesn't say anything about how this influenced his New York gang. It's just a fact. And isn't this... this is talking about in the 1860s, and this is talking about him being in Congress in 1852. So maybe Congress was a stepping stone. Maybe he was not corrupt then, and then he became corrupt later. I don't know. I don't like it. Loosely related information, I agree. It is loosely related. Let's leave C. What about D? Deleted, because it contains information that undermines the main claim of the passage. It's not undermining. It's not weakening the main part of the passage. It's not saying, oh, Tweed was a nice guy, and he donated to charities, and he did more good for New York City than bad. That would undermine the passage of talking about how this guy was greedy and corrupt and bad. Saying that he was elected to Congress doesn't undermine or weaken the argument at all, so let's get rid of D. The answer for number 16 is going to be C. Very tough, but at the end of the day, it's loosely relevant. It's not vital or essential to understand who this guy was, and it happened, 8 years prior to when this was happening in New York City. Loosely related about the guy we're talking about. Answer number 16 is going to be C.